challenging the giants of the tech industry to build something new, a more positive place online. But we know we're not going to be doing this alone. In fact, it's our intention to build a place online that improves your mental well-being, an ecosystem that prioritizes what enriches you instead of what addicts you and distracts you. And over the last decade, we have made deliberate choices in making this happen. 9 out of 10 people say that Pinterest is an online oasis. But this has to be engineered that way. It requires time, consideration, and investment. From decisions like prohibiting misinformation, to banning political ads long before our peers did it, to providing mental health tools. These are decisions we make every single day. We're not perfect, but we really will continue to do those things, and they enrich our users. And it's important to know that we're not doing this alone. We cannot do this without all of you, our advertising partners. We rely on you to provide inspiring content, products and services that help our users bring their goals to life, and in turn, we'll show you content in a positive space. And what research shows is that when consumers see advertising in a positive space, they're more likely to remember, trust, and most importantly, buy from those brands. Finance teams are right now scrutinizing marketing budgets. They're asking the marketing teams to prove the value of their work, very often in the near term. And what I believe that does is that the marketing teams have to make these very difficult decisions. Lowest cost conversions look good on the balance sheet this quarter, but at what cost? What is the trade-off? Is the media plan that you have putting the brand at risk by appearing in some of the most toxic places online just because CPMs are cheap and the reach is wide? We know we are coming into a cookieless world for such a long time. We've been looking at audiences from a personas and demographics point of view, and we have to get ready for this new normal. But at Pinterest, we've never had to stalk you around the web to know what you're doing, because users are giving us their explicit signals. They actually pin things on the platform. They search, they save on their boards. We know what their interests and hobbies are. And when you prioritize these explicit signals, you get very different outcomes than when you prioritize view time. Actually, with us, additive and not addictive content wins. And so it's time to consider a different value proposition, where advertisers can successfully reach all audiences at every stage of the journey, where you can target people based on their explicit interests and hobbies, and where the experience feels so timely and personal that advertising actually feels serendipitous at every stage of the journey, where you can help them go from discovery to decision to do, all in the most positive place online. And I know that some of this sounds too good to be true, but I hope that today you'll see that it's possible, and it's possible every day. It's happening already, and we are on this journey together.
Each month, 450 million people over the world, across the world, come to our platform to create and plan for those moments, no matter how big or small, whether it's for kids' recipes, like I am, or for some of those bigger moments, like planning for a car, or planning for that early retirement. But let's think about this number, right? Let's put it into perspective. If Pinterest was a country, we would be the third largest country in the world. The third largest country in the world. That's pretty darn cool, right? And we're reaching 32% of online consumers in the UK. It's fantastic. It's a huge opportunity, right? And let's take a moment to think about. Imagine, I want you all to imagine for a moment, what do you think, who do you think is a typical Pinterest user? Don't worry, I'm not going to ask you all to shout it out, right? But I can imagine you're thinking about a woman who's recently got married. She's planning for her wedding. She's planning for her new home move. But we've got far more pinners than that. Everybody's using it. Yes, of course, women are coming to plan their weddings and home moves. Who isn't? But take, for example, Gen Z. Our Gen Z audience doubled in 2021 and 2022. They're coming to the platform so much more open-minded than they are when they view anybody else. They're coming with creative mindsets, adventure. They're looking to understand how they can personally grow, create their personal aesthetics, and absolutely everything you can imagine. And guess what? Men, yes, men are on the platform. I know a lot of you in the room here, you've got it. But guys, if you haven't, 1 in 5 men in the UK are on it. So you better get yourself in check, all right? And on top of that, what we've seen is that our pinners aren't just traditionally searching for the norms, right? fashion, beauty, of course they are, travel, home, but they're going much wider. Their interests expand across so many different areas. Take our most recent Pinterest Predicts report, where we actually talk about all of those interests and trends that they're searching. For example, it might be due to the economic downturn, but people are looking to gamify their finances. They're looking to understand how they can invest more in the world. They're looking at eco-friendly landscaping, eco-friendly products. They're not just here for your basics. They're here for absolutely everything. And guess what? The audiences that I'm talking about are an incremental audience that you cannot get anywhere else. 59% of our pinners over the age of 18 don't have TikTok. 50% of them aren't on Twitter. That's huge. So just take those audiences in for a second. You can only reach them on Pinterest. If that's not giving you enough reason on why you should be on Pinterest, I've got another 10 minutes. So let's think about what that consumer journey actually looks like. Let's take Nick as an example. So he comes to the platform in that discovery mode. He doesn't know what he's searching for, but he's thinking of changing up his aesthetic, his fashion, his shoes. He then gets an idea of what he's looking for. He takes himself further online. He's searching for those ideas. He's looking for recommendations. He's looking at price comparisons. He's looking at all the different products that he has on offer. And then he comes back onto Pinterest. He's in decision mode. Guess what? We're serving him personalized content based on his interests. We don't care about what he was looking at previously. We're targeting him on his interests. It's all personalized. And then guess what? Boom, he makes a purchase. This is a fantastic example of where we take people from discovery to search to decision and actual purchase. I don't think I have to preach to the converted that customer journeys are not linear. And you've got to make sure you're showing up at the right moment and the right time. Let's take another example. It's festival season. If it's not festival season for you, it started, guys. It's definitely started for me. But this is another great reason, an example, as to why it's different here. You'll hear all of us say it's different here. And here is a fundamental reason as to why. So when you think about a festival, when you're at the festival itself, you're on Snapchat, you're on Twitter, you're telling everybody the great time you're having at that moment in time. After the event, you're thinking, oh, you're on your Instagram, you're on your Facebook, you're on TikTok, you're telling everybody weeks after the great time that you had at that festival. But rewind, 6 to 8 weeks before that festival even started, you're on Pinterest. You're planning what your outfit's going to be, you're planning your hairstyles, you're planning what your makeup's going to be. And that is what's fundamentally different at Pinterest. Our pinners are coming and planning for all of these moments. So what better opportunity to get in front of them and plant that seed at that moment in time? They're not doing that with anywhere else. And that's why the Pinterest mindset is different. It's fundamentally different, right? We're all guilty of just mindfully scrolling through our social platforms. But for us, we don't just have to target you based on demographics. We're targeting you based on moments and interests. It can go so much deeper than that and really enable people to discover your brand and your product at the right opportunity. Insider Intelligence voted Pinterest as the #1 most trusted platform in the world. So when we think about activating across the full funnel, this is actually one of my favorite visuals. Because you can see here, we're taking them through that building awareness into that discovery. We're driving that consideration to that decision, and then we're getting that conversion. We're getting them to do it. I could spend all day on this slide, as you guys know, but Audra is going to be talking you guys through the features and products that are going to help you create fully effective, full funnel activity.
Okay, with billions of ideas, Pinterest is the place that people go not only to plan, but to discover their next passion, their next purchase, or their next project. Because of this, brand and product discovery on Pinterest is truly different. Again, if you're not already a user, come find me after the show. I'm going to show you how discovery or awareness works on Pinterest. Again, users browse their home screen for ideas and inspiration. Over time, that user home feed, the content and the ads shown to them will become more personalized based on what we learn about them. And then when they find ideas that inspire them, they can save those images onto boards to reference at a future date.
And we know that when pinners are in discovery mode, they're more open to being inspired and discovering new ideas and the brands that make them all possible. Pinterest is a platform where decision-making happens, because on Pinterest, brands actually meet consumer needs. The first is our new showcase ads coming later this summer. Do you ever feel like your creative maybe doesn't get the opportunity to tell enough of the story of your brand or your campaign? And do you struggle to convey maybe emotion and intent in the same ad unit? Well, we recognize that sometimes you need more. This is where showcase ads come in. This new ad experience allows audiences to explore the many sides of your brand, and then once they're ready to act, we'll drive them right to your site. Okay, the next one is my personal favorite, quiz ads. I mean, who does not want to find their perfect mattress match, the best skincare routine for their skin type, or even to customize features of a vehicle to find the best model for their lifestyle? Quiz ads encourage exploration, they cultivate brand curiosity, and they create a personalized, interactive experience. So whether getting new users signed up for your rewards program, maybe scheduling a test drive, or offering incentives like a free sample or maybe free shipping to sign up for an email program, lead ads make all this possible and more. You can find qualified prospects and make meaningful connections with high-intent pinners that want to learn more about your business. Now that a user has discovered your brand and they've made their decision, you want them to convert. Think about it. Every single plan or project requires a purchase. And because of how Pinterest works, pinners actually do and buy more on our platform than any other one you're advertising on. And while the online world solved for buying, it kind of actually killed the joy of shopping. And so at Pinterest, we're on a mission to make shopping fun. If you haven't bought anything before on Pinterest, I'm going to tell you a little bit about how it works. When a pinner hits a close-up button, say on a fashion pin or a home decor scene that they like, we use our visual recognition technology to give them an exact match of the products within that image, or perhaps something better or different that they may not have discovered. The value to pinners becomes even more compelling when you, as advertisers, set up your product catalogs on our platform and start to run shoppable content and ads. We'll get into how that works in a minute, but first, I want to share a bit more about shoppers on Pinterest. We've learned that pinners are super shoppers. They love to shop. In fact, our monthly users spend 40% more than shoppers on any other platform. They also buy more every time they shop. Monthly Pinterest users in the UK, they have 30% larger baskets at checkout. So if you're a retailer that sells direct to consumers, how do you get in on this, right? Well, the first step is to set up shop on our platform. And as you can see here, there are lots of different ways to do this. When you set up shop, that ensures that your latest product inventory, pricing, product images are automatically updated and sent to Pinterest in real time for use in your content and ads. In the UK alone, we've seen a 72% increase in year-over-year in retailers setting up shop on our platform. And I'm guessing that this is one of the reasons why. Retailers who have uploaded their product catalog, they're seeing 5 times more organic reach on our platform than those who haven't. Having a catalog also helps drive more engagement and action from pinners. These same retailers with their catalogs uploaded have seen a 90% increase in product saves on our platform and nearly a 20% increase in attributed conversions. Okay, so once your catalog is set up, you'll have access to a full suite of shopping ad solutions that can drive engaged users directly to buy. We offer shopping ad types from static to collection to video, and we have even more in the pipeline. So whether a pinner is ready to book that summer holiday or find the perfect gift, they can now seamlessly make that transaction happen on their mobile devices. By adding mobile deep linking to any of your ads on Pinterest, pinners who click through can land directly on a product detail or checkout page within your app without having to enter their contact or payment information, reducing your time to sale and driving even more due. Okay, so that's how to accelerate the path to purchase on Pinterest. But how do you prove the impact of your campaigns? Well, you can measure sales with complete confidence by using the Pinterest API for conversions. Not only will it help you optimize your conversion events, improve data matching, but it will reduce browser dependencies over time. Advertisers who have used our API have seen a 14% improvement in their cost per acquisition and a 36% increase in conversions.
So Samsung and Pinterest, we've been working together since ads actually first launched on the platform in the UK, right back in 2017. You know, what do you think has kept Samsung here and growing their partnership with us year on year?
Yeah, so it's been about 6 years since we started advertising on Pinterest, and I hope you guys are familiar with Samsung. Samsung's one of the leaders in innovation and technology, and we've always put people first in all of our approach. So Pinterest is such a great fit because you guys also have really similar ethos of, you know, putting people first. Mm-hmm. Samsung's able to really go into the platform and connect with our target audience in a really personal and really authentic way. We know that pinners come on the platform to really find inspiration and to find new ideas and really in search in their planning stage. Yeah. So it gives Samsung a really good opportunity for us to be present and be there for our audience in a way that resonates best with them.
When you're advising clients on launch campaigns on Pinterest, you know, what do you think works best?
Every time, I mean, launch is so important for all of our clients, and if I could recommend something to the clients, it's always around these three main key topics. First one is to always use high impact placements. Second is to also tap into trends. And the third is to make campaign really exciting. Yeah. We really, really love to make sure that our ads are, you know, grabbing attention. Yeah. So for auction, we really love to use the max width video. When you're on the mobile phone and you're scrolling through, max width is literally double the size of a pin. So it's great real estate on the screen, and it just really makes sure that our ads are being really popping out and unique and grabbing attention. Starcom, we work really closely with data, and we love the Pinterest Trends dashboard. So we use that really often to really inform and create creative insights. So last year in November, we were looking at things that are really important for Gen Z pinners, and we saw that they love nails, and they also love winter coats. So for our campaign, we did a campaign called Everything's Better in Bora campaign, which is pretty much a launch of a new colorway for the Samsung phone, the Samsung Watch, and the Samsung Buds. It's a gorgeous purple. So in our ads, we were able to incorporate a really cool winter coat and a really cool nail set, which is injected with our awesome purple color, and it just makes the ad way more, you know, native and resonate so much better on Pinterest.
Positivity. That's a word you've heard a lot about today, but it's not something that we necessarily see all the time on internet or even in marketing. Quite the opposite, in fact. As we mentioned earlier, the internet doesn't play to our best selves, and as a result, we're having negative experiences online. But it is possible to do better, and consumers recognise that positivity online needs to be intentional. At Pinterest, we believe that everybody deserves an alternative, a place where they can be themselves, be free, explore and dream, completely free from judgment. Now, you might be thinking, oh, this feels really good and sounds great, but how do we know it's actually making a difference? And I'm really excited to share with you that the research tells us. We organised a comprehensive study with the University of Berkeley's Greater Good Science Centre to test the relationship between the inspiration you see all over Pinterest with well-being. We studied Gen Z students in the middle of a very stressful time, final exam season, and we directed just one group of them to spend 10 minutes a day on Pinterest. The results were remarkable. The students who were using Pinterest, even through the most stressful time, still had the capacity to feel compassionate, content, and grateful. And this wasn't just the case for a group of American students. The team replicated the same study here in the UK and 6 other international markets. And they found that across the board, with just 10 minutes a day looking at inspiring content, it can help young people guard against toxicity and stress. Researchers told us and confirmed that Pinterest is great for users. But what does that exactly mean for advertisers? And what role does it play within the purchase funnel? We facilitated another study at the end of last year to dig into this, but this time with more than 2,000 adult users. We wanted to understand how positivity impacted their online lives and shaped their buying behaviours.
When we asked how online positivity affected their relationships with brands, the majority said to us that when they feel more positive, they were more likely to try new brands, trust that brand, and ultimately purchase from that brand. So basically, in other words, positivity is driving impact at every single stage of the funnel. Now, if we think about that at scale, at Pinterest, we have hundreds of millions of monthly active users coming to us, experiencing a boost to their well-being that they're not getting across any other social media platform right now. And this boost is priming them to try new brands, including all of yours.
So increasingly so, we get briefs in from agencies and say, right, our brands want to focus on being a force for good, and whatever that looks like. I'd be keen to know, what does a force for good look like to you, your brands, and how does it affect what you do as agencies when you get a brief like that in?
Yeah, so GroupM obviously has its mantras and its goals about being a force for good, and our statement is that we want advertising to work better for people, and so that should inform all of our planning. I guess I take that statement, and this is not the GroupM official way of thinking about it. I think of it a bit like the three-headed dog in Harry Potter, so it's got three bits to it. The first bit is all about making the ads better for people, so not being spammy and not being creepy or showing someone an ad, being transparent about why they're being served an ad. I think that's really important, and also making sure that people see themselves reflected in the adverts that they're getting served, which is obviously big on WPP's agenda, and all of our creative agencies are working hard on that. Then the second bit is about making the experience better for our clients. So being more transparent with our clients, making as Harriet said, making their dollars work harder and being more transparent there. And then I think the third bit is about our staff, right? So making sure that we look after our teams and look after our staff a lot better, and make sure that they have a good life in work, but also have a good life outside of work, making sure they have a life beyond work, basically.
All about balance. And Harriet?
Yeah, all of the clients that we work with have, very defined targets about, responsible media investment. And I think it's absolutely incumbent on, GroupM and Omnicom and all the groups to absolutely drive this and facilitate this. And we proactively work with all our partners to make sure we do have a responsible marketing pillar, so we make it as easy as we can to facilitate that flow of advertising dollars to where those needs are. And as Fred said, we've got lots and lots of initiatives, but just playing back to what was discussed earlier, one of our initiatives at Omnicom is called CASA, which was launched in 2020, and it's a global program, and it's basically stands for the Council of Accountable Social Advertising. Doesn't trip off the tongue. CASA is far easier. But that was really born from a client need of really understanding actually what other content is running around my paid advertising, my organic advertising. We need to know that. This is a big deal, right? Because we want to be responsible in terms of the company we're keeping. So this was set up, and I'm really, pleased to say Pinterest is obviously one of the key partners in there, but all the social platforms are involved. And actually the tangible outputs that's kind of driven for us have been really, really useful for our clients. So it's kind of, the addition of new features, more standardized reporting across the social platforms, more controls for verification partners to be able to curate and control those environments that you keep. And I think initiatives like that, that is kind of our agency job to support clients, and really enable that smart, and responsible investment.
Sticking on the topic of retail and social commerce, the social commerce is changing hugely for brands and consumers, how people shop, where they shop, how they shop. Where are you seeing that shift in particular, Harriet?
Yeah, we talk to our clients a lot about social commerce, and clearly, maximising and optimising the customer journey is, hugely important. And I think, what's fair to say, there is an awful lot of potential, and it's already here, right, in social commerce, and brands are leaning in, and it's really exciting, and it's going to become an even more important part of that whole commerce mix.
But what I would say of the last couple of years, there's been a lot of hype as well. And the reality is, I think it's a really good point of inflection in time to go, actually, how are our operations looking in this area? Like the boring stuff slightly, but it's super important. You know, we look across things like catalog management, privacy and governance, conversions API, you know, integration, creative, you know, and all of that often sits across 2 or 3 or 4 different clients. And actually it's really complicated and it's really hard work to make sure we join all of those things up. So, you know, I'd urge everyone to really, really double down and look at the foundations of their social commerce. You know, as part of our Pinterest partnership, we have, you know, been creating social commerce frameworks, maturity frameworks for our clients that really enable clients to understand their current baseline and then identify the next best action for growth, which I think has been a really useful way to kind of have a really structured and kind of, you know, considered plan into social commerce. But, you know, lots of clients are doing brilliantly and have got those operational foundations in place. And, you know, I think areas like video, which was talked about earlier, you know, and actually bringing the relevancy of message with a really impactful format, it's going to be fascinating to see how that kind of delivers as part of social commerce.
We've got both agencies and brands in the room today. We've talked a lot about our intention to build a more positive internet, which is all very noble and should sleep well at night. We're all doing a good job, but money. We live in a capitalist society. Everything comes down to the bottom line. What do you think is the commercial argument for prioritizing inclusive, positive spaces?
I think often, I mean, yeah, we live in a capitalist society and advertising is 100% that, so I don't disagree. But I also think it's important to understand, I talk a lot with my clients about cultural capital and understanding where cultural capital plays a part to your commercial vision. And I think a big part of that, a really good example of that is you guys might have seen the Nike and Cortez collaboration that's happened. And just for context, Cortez is founded by a young man called Clint, who's built an incredible brand by himself, grassroots, and he's been able to build a community around that brand, mostly within the Gen Z space. And Nike, as an institution, as a brand, see the value in that. They see where he shows up, the commitment that he has from his peers and also the trusted community that he's built. And in order for them to, I suppose, future-proof what Nike is doing, they've collaborated with them, and they haven't necessarily created a completely new shoe or created a completely new brand. They've just collaborated on something that already exists and then built off of cultural relevance right now. And I think that's a really good example of understanding actually what is culturally happening in the space, that we can build really great cultural capital and still commercialize that, but it still feels like we're talking to the people, they feel seen, and it doesn't feel like it's a bandwagon. It feels like actually, yeah, I'm a player in this space. And I think that's a really good example of understanding that actually, even though he's not quote unquote a global superstar or massively well known for the past 10 years, he actually still has so much relevance and plays a big part in culture. And as a big brand, they also get equally as much value.
So you mentioned there about how can it not feel like we're jumping on a bandwagon, how can it not feel performative? What tangibly, you're in this work, you're living and breathing it, like how do brands, agencies, how do we get to do this and retain authenticity so that it actually lands and resonates with the consumer, with the person out there on the street?
I think for the most part, it's about understanding where you are as a brand. So I think a lot of the time people see either trends or they see things happening just around them and believe, oh my gosh, this is happening right now, we should be talking about it. Or, oh my gosh, this trend's popping, so let's see where we can align ourselves. But actually that's not necessarily the case. I think it's about understanding where you sit as a brand, your mission, why you started, and aligning that to something that culturally then aligns back to yourself. And then having an open mind to understand that you might not have all the answers. Yeah. So then be open to collaboration. And what collaboratively does that look like? And I think don't always seek to the most famous person in the world. Build a cultural advisory board. Go and seek counsel outside of the office. build insight groups that don't all look like you, like all those kind of things. And then also just being transparent with, I don't know what I'm doing, so can you help me out? Like, I think that's also important. A lot of brands don't want to admit that, and organizations, agencies as well. And we're not perfect, so, but sometimes we have to admit that. You know, we don't always know the answer, so who else can we bring in or help us support what that looks like?
Yeah. Do you believe that a more positive internet is possible?
Yes. Yeah, for the most part I do, because I believe that we are working towards a better world. And I think a while ago we used to kind of separate the internet to real life. And I think we still do that to an extent, but I don't think we can do that anymore. I think a lot of what is happening within technology is happening within us as we're walking on a day-to-day. But I do believe that the commitment truly just comes from people. And I think if we can commit to creating a better world, we can commit to creating a better internet space. So yeah, I got hope.
Amazing, hopeful.
And we've covered so much ground today. And I hope, you know, after those several hours, you see why we are excited about what we're building here at Pinterest. You know, why millions of people come to the platform every month to look for ideas, and we help them plan and shop them into reality. Why we're building the positive corner of the internet that brings the best out of humanity instead of the worst. And why it's a good place for brands to connect with their consumers at every stage of the journey, from discovery to decision to do, and all in a positive environment that helps your brand being more trusted. But really the question we will be asking today is, can we build a more positive internet? Can we change the ecosystem we're in? And we truly believe we can, but we have to do it together. No, we have to move away from last click and meet consumers where they are. We have to meet them based on their interests and hobbies versus based on their demographics and personas. And really we have to make sure that advertising dollars fund positivity and not toxicity. And I hope you see that this future is possible on Pinterest, and we can build a healthier internet for everyone. So we hope you'll join us on it.